Well, I'm very pleased to be here, and it's a great honor to be invited to visit the Maya Children's Hospital and the Maya Foundation. And I come from the Children's Hospital Los Angeles, which is one of the top 5 children's hospitals in the world. And at our hospital, we have the best care for children and the best teaching and the best research. And my particular role is in leading the research. And so I'm here to learn and advise on building a world-class research program here at the Maya Children's Hospital. So working together is extremely important, and of course, science knows no national boundary. And so what we find in Los Angeles applies here, what you find here applies in Los Angeles. So if you think about the history of children's hospitals, our hospital was founded in 1900, and at that time, the doctor rode to work on a horse, and in his bag he had aspirin, which had been on the market 4 years from Bayer. He had morphine and sympathy. And when I was a young doctor nearly 50 years ago, all the kids with congenital heart disease died, all the premature babies died, all the kids with leukemia died very quickly, all the kids with cystic fibrosis died by the age of 7. And now these diseases can be treated, and the kids can live to be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, depending on what they've got. So the great thing about pediatrics is, if you save a baby, you've got an 80-year save. And that kid will grow up to be a taxpayer. And so that's a very important concept, and that's why we think research is the most important thing a children's hospital can do, because one true fact will change everything. So you think of the polio virus, right? That used to cause terrible paralysis, and people were in iron lungs and in swimming pools. And then in 1955, Sabin discovered the polio vaccine. And you never see polio anymore in civilized countries. So the way you build buildings, the way you deliver care, the health of the population is all changed by one scientific fact. So that's what we're after. We're trying to find the critical intervention which will stop these terrible diseases. And there are still a lot of things that we can't do very much about. So there's still a lot to do. Well, innovation is so important, because if we don't innovate, we're stuck with the same, right? Nothing changes. And so if you're happy with the care that we can give children today, fine, don't innovate. Right? But if you're unhappy and you want to make change, you have to innovate. And you have to protect the intellectual property, and you have to develop that intellectual property so that the cures you've discovered become financially viable. Otherwise, a drug company can't develop them. So that's a very important business concept that we didn't have 50 years ago. We just discovered stuff and gave it away. And that's completely wrong, actually, because if you do that, you can't develop them. So that's why innovation is so important. There are a lot of wonderful advances in regenerative medicine, regenerative surgery. One of them is being able to sequence the genome very cheaply so that you can do everybody's genome. And the genome is the instruction manual for the human body. So everybody starts as one cell, and that cell divides trillions of times. And most of the time, you get a functioning human being who's productive and happy. Sometimes when you're at the children's hospital, that's not quite so true. So what we want to know is how that works, how human development works well, and how it goes wrong. And using that knowledge, now we can fix it. So diseases like cancer, for example, are actually developmental diseases. It's just the same genes that make you or me, but they're malfunctioning in cancer. So that's tractable, and we can find targets in that disease to treat it. And it's the same thing for gut lengthening or whatever else you want. So we now have the tools to do the job. And I think I wish I was 30 years old again, because I think the next 50 years is going to be tremendously exciting. because of the recruitment of Professor Morabito, this hospital is now one of the leading centers in the world for regenerative surgery for the intestine, which is tremendously important because children who have short intestine, they do very badly. They can't grow, they can't eat, and retain their nutrition. And his surgery of enlarging the bowel is tremendously important. But we need to do better at that. And there are some very important scientific questions about how the lining of the gut works and how it knows to be the right size and the right length and those kind of things. And if we can solve those challenges, it's going to be even better. So